The mystery of the Mary Celeste remains unsolved, and as time passes, it only deepens the allure surrounding the ship. What happened to the crew? Was it a natural disaster, a criminal act, or something even more strange and unexplainable? Today, we will dive into one of the strangest stories that raise many questions: the mystery of the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was an American merchant brigantine built in 1861, designed for long ocean voyages. The ship was specifically constructed to carry cargo efficiently, traveling between American ports in Asia. Captain Benjamin Briggs, who commanded the Mary Celeste, was a highly respected mariner with a reputation for reliability. In 1872, he set off on a journey from New York to Genoa, Italy, with a crew of 10 people, including his wife and young daughter. The ship was carrying 1,700 barrels of alcohol, which was a valuable commodity at the time. The Mary Celeste departed New York on November 7, 1872, and was expected to take about a month to reach Italy. However, what happened after this point would set the stage for one of the most intriguing maritime mysteries of all time. On December 4, 1872, over a month after its departure, the Mary Celeste was discovered by Captain David Morehouse of the British ship Dei Gratia near the Azores Islands, about 800 kilometers off its intended course. The ship was drifting aimlessly at sea, without any signs of its crew or any indication of what had happened to them. When Captain Morehouse and his crew boarded the Mary Celeste, they were shocked by the sight they encountered. The ship appeared to be in excellent condition, despite the fact that it had been drifting for weeks with no one aboard. The ship's logbook was incomplete but still on board. No distress signals had been sent out. The Mary Celeste was an American merchant brigantine built in 1861, designed for long ocean voyages. The ship was specifically constructed to carry cargo efficiently, traveling between American ports in Asia. Captain Benjamin Briggs, who commanded the Mary Celeste, was a highly respected mariner with a reputation for reliability. There were no signs of fire, destruction, or violent struggle on the ship. The ship's cargo, the 1,700 barrels of alcohol, remained intact, and the food and water supplies were all in place. Even more bewildering, the personal belongings of the crew were still on the ship. There were no signs of a fight or any physical altercation. The ship's logbook was incomplete but still on board. No distress signals had been sent out. It was as if the crew had vanished into thin air. One of the most puzzling discoveries was the state of the lifeboats. One of the lifeboats had been launched, but it was missing and no other boats had been used. If the crew had abandoned the ship, why did they leave in such a hurry, leaving their possessions behind? As Captain Morehouse and his crew inspected the Mary Celeste, they found a number of strange and unexplained details. The ship was fully intact, and there were no apparent signs of damage or struggle. The food and water were still on the ship, indicating that the crew hadn't suffered from starvation or dehydration. There was no trace of any serious illness or external disaster that would explain the crew's sudden disappearance. In addition to the intact food stores, there was a strange observation about the ship's condition. The ship's main sails and rigging were still in good condition. The ship's course had been altered, but the ship was still under some sort of wind-driven motion. The logbook showed the last entry from Captain Briggs, recorded on November 25, 1872, and then nothing further. The ship's cabin was undisturbed, with no signs of violence or forced entry. Perhaps the most perplexing discovery was that the Mary Celeste appeared to have been abandoned in an orderly manner. There was no sign that anything out of the ordinary had taken place in the days leading up to the disappearance of the crew. The ship's cargo was undamaged, and there were no significant signs of a struggle. What could have caused such a calm and sudden disappearance? Numerous theories have been proposed over the years to explain the disappearance of the Mary Celeste's crew. Today, we'll explore the most widely discussed ones, starting with the possibility of a sudden storm or natural disaster. Some theorists believe that a violent storm may have struck the ship, forcing the crew to abandon it in a hurry. They might have taken a lifeboat, hoping to survive the tempest. However, the lack of damage on the Mary Celeste challenges this theory. If a storm had passed, why did the crew not return to their intact ship? Another theory suggests piracy or foul play. It's speculated that criminals may have attacked the ship, but this theory falters due to the lack of any signs of struggle or theft. Some have speculated that the crew experienced mass hysteria or mutiny, leading to their abrupt departure. Yet, this theory doesn't explain why Captain Briggs and his family would participate in such drastic actions. The Mary Celeste was carrying barrels of alcohol, leading to another theory: the crew might have panicked due to toxic fumes from leaked alcohol. But there's no evidence to support this, and the fumes would have affected them sooner. Another controversial idea is that the crew abandoned the ship intentionally as part of an escape plan or hoax. However, this fails to explain why they left their belongings and the valuable cargo behind. Some suggest supernatural forces were at play, with tales of curses and paranormal activity. While intriguing, these theories remain speculative, lacking any factual evidence. Despite extensive investigations, these theories have yet to provide a definitive explanation for the crew's disappearance, keeping the mystery of the Mary Celeste alive to this day. Another theory suggests that pirates or another group of criminals may have attacked the ship, killed the crew, and then left the ship drifting at sea. However, this theory has been largely dismissed because the Mary Celeste was found with no signs of an attack or struggle. If pirates had attacked the ship, there would likely have been evidence of a fight, and they would have stolen valuables or damaged the ship. There were no such signs. Some have speculated that the crew may have experienced a form of collective hysteria, or that a mutiny may have taken place. However, this theory doesn't explain why Captain Briggs and his family would have been involved in such a drastic action. Additionally, the ship's logbook showed no signs of conflict or disagreement among the crew members, which cast doubt on this idea. The theory of mass hysteria or crew mutiny remains speculative, leaving more questions than answers about the fate of the Mary Celeste. Another theory suggests that the Mary Celeste's cargo of alcohol may have leaked, releasing fumes that filled the lower decks. These fumes could have led to gas poisoning, disorienting the crew and making them believe the ship was in danger of exploding. In their panic, the crew may have abandoned the ship and the lifeboat, leaving everything else behind. However, there is no evidence to support this theory. The fumes would likely have affected the crew much sooner than they allegedly experienced. A more controversial theory suggests that the crew of the Mary Celeste intentionally abandoned the ship in an elaborate hoax or escape plan. Some theorists believe that the crew may have been involved in a scheme to escape their circumstances, perhaps to avoid financial ruin, debts, or legal trouble. However, this theory fails to account for the fact that the ship was left in such a well-maintained state with no signs of haste or chaos. If the crew had planned their disappearance, why would they leave behind their belongings and the ship's valuable cargo? The theory of the crew's intentional disappearance leaves more questions than answers, adding to the enduring mystery of the Mary Celeste. In the years since the Mary Celeste was found, some have suggested a more supernatural or paranormal explanation. There have been claims that the ship was cursed and that the disappearance of the crew was the result of an ancient curse or otherworldly forces. These theories are purely speculative and based on folklore, with no evidence to support them. While they make for intriguing stories, they don't offer any concrete answers to the mystery. After the discovery of the abandoned ship, several investigations were launched to uncover the truth behind the Mary Celeste's mysterious fate. However, despite the efforts of many, no conclusive explanation has ever been reached. In the decades that followed, the mystery became a source of fascination for sailors, investigators, and historians. Over the years, many theories were proposed, but none could provide an irrefutable answer. It remains one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in maritime history. Over time, the story of the Mary Celeste has become the stuff of legend. It has been the subject of books, documentaries, and films, with various retellings, often including elements of the supernatural. Some believe that the ship itself was cursed, while others speculate that the disappearance of the crew was a result of a ship-wide conspiracy. These stories have only added to the mystery, but they remain purely speculative and unsupported by factual evidence. In more recent years, the story has been romanticized, and it continues to appear in pop culture. Whether the truth is ever uncovered or not, the Mary Celeste will always remain one of the most fascinating and haunting maritime mysteries. These stories have only added to the mystery, but they remain purely speculative and unsupported by factual evidence. The mystery of the Mary Celeste remains unsolved, and as time passes, it only deepens the allure surrounding the ship. What happened to the crew? Was it a natural disaster, a criminal act, or something even more strange and unexplainable? While we may never know for sure, The story of the Mary Celeste serves as a reminder of the mysteries that still lie beneath the surface of the oceans.